Where am I? What's going on? The noise coming from the wall speaker cuts through the layers of my consciousness. It pulls me into reality. The electrical circuit crackles. Silence ensues. A moment later, an unfamiliar, sharply cut voice echoes through the compartment.
With immediate effect, free movement on the train is forbidden. We've been spotted again. The lottery is already in progress, and the chosen passengers will be informed of their situation without delay. We expect your full cooperation. All hail the Supreme Engineer.
The Supreme what now? Oh, right, I'm on a train. I see. Yes, okay. It's all coming back to me. I'm RetconRaider, and I'm currently playing the demo for Dreadline Express. A game about a train. The pitch-black darkness shrouding the sky is transforming. It swarms, breathes, and pulsates. An amorphous mass made up of thousands of tentacles. The steam locomotive at the front slows down under the terrible strain. Sticky sprouts are trying to make their way inside. The thin window glass is the last barrier separating me from that monstrosity. You know, I don't travel a lot, especially these days, but I feel like this might be slightly unusual. We should probably have a look around. Tiny objects dance to the rhythm of train sleepers across a once elegant piece of furniture. The worn piece of wood is covered with many scratches from countless former passengers. But some of the grooves are fresher and deeper than others at first glance. Remotely, they give the impression of a coherent text. However, it is not possible to read it in the dim light. Yeah, it is unusually overcast today, what with the tentacles and all. I don't recognize a single one of the items lying around the makeshift storage area. Do they belong to me? However, there is a piece of paper sticking out of one of the books. I'm drawn to it by an unspoken compulsion. The writing is rough and looks childish. My mom's name was Rose. Dad says she was here with us. He says people forget here. He'll remind me of everything. She was born in 1917, got married at 20, and then she died here. He says I'm not allowed to write anything down, but what if I forget again? Her name was Rose. Rose Mather. Rose Mather. A fragment of your past. Wife. Like a broken vase, I glued the pieces of my life together. I had a wife born in the year of 1917. She seems to have died here on the train. How it happened, I don't know. In spite of my best efforts, I've forgotten. But I loved her with all my heart. I failed myself. I failed Teresa. That's rough, buddy. Though I will say the note said her name was Rose, not Teresa, though I guess that could be the daughter. In my staled pockets full of grease stains, I discover an object. Leather-bound book without a title. Raise your gaze and prepare it for reward. Not mere cards, these pages preserve memories and knowledge in a form not subject to external influences. Choose the card you deem most suitable to achieve your goals and prepare them in your hand. The card in your palms form your intention, and as such, they are always used together. If the current hand is no good for you, the path of modesty can help you. Narrow down your selection. Think broadly, and pay attention to new leads. Which, as esoterically bewildering as it may sound, is actually a pretty nifty mechanic. Essentially the core of the entire game, which is, of course, the main reason I'm even playing this demo in the first place, because it's a pretty novel concept. It's something I don't think I've really seen in any other game. You go around literally collecting concepts and memories, and then deploy them as inventory items to essentially provoke new interactions with your surroundings. Though, ultimately, in the current demo, of course, there's a very finite amount that we can actually collect, and thus a very finite amount we can actually accomplish. But yeah, aside from that, it largely plays out as a hybrid walking simulator / visual novel. The setting is intriguing, though, and I will say, I do find the card-based memory mechanic to be very fascinating. A lot of potential there, especially with the implication that our characters' memories might be deliberately tampered with. Let's see what else might jog something loose. Madness had taken hold of the clock hands. Could this be related to the attack from outside? Could the train itself be reacting to it? Electroacoustic equipment connected to the train's central announcement system. It's kind of out of place here. Oh, hello. A folded sheet of paper? It wasn't here before. It's addressed to me. I'll take your word on that. A single sheet of paper with an impersonal message. In the lottery, your name was drawn. Thank you for your sacrifice. Wait for the arrival of the conductor and do not leave behind any memorabilia. There is no reason to endanger your loved ones. All hail the Supreme Engineer. Someone's coming for me. The door is locked from the outside. I can't open it from here. I'm trapped in my own compartment. I'm being railroaded. Perhaps this will help shed some light. The compartment is lit by warm candlelight. In other circumstances, it would seem cozy. I can see the original electric lights on the ceiling, but someone has put them out of commission. An observation. Light. At the end of the tunnel. Light has been our guide since the beginning of time. Within its reach, the unknown becomes tangible. It allows us to discover and learn. Here on board the train, human light is so much more reassuring. An invisible barricade protecting the fragile mind from the incomprehensible outside. The carriages have electric lights, but it's unclear if they work. In my private compartment, the lighting is cut off for some reason. I am left to the soothing glow of candles. The wax, however, is running out. That's fine. Sometimes you just gotta take your wax. Metaphorically speaking. And this, of course, will allow us to illuminate our current situation. Sometimes literally, but it is often metaphorical. There's a lot to figure out, but no worries. we're on the case. Hidden from the world is an unknown piece of luggage tucked under the seat. Sturdy, leather-covered work case. Wear indicates active use. A numerical row-locking mechanism guards the contents inside. Should I know the combination? I can try as hard as I like, but I can't think of any line of numbers. Perhaps I have other knowledge that might be useful. Which, of course, we do. We have the vague memories of our wife, which did include a 4-digit number, her year of birth. I could use my wife's year of birth as a code. However, the numeric lock is 8 digits. One date is not enough. Right, of course. But we did also notice writing on the table, which we couldn't decipher because it was too dark. Perhaps if I grabbed the nearest candle, I might be able to read the lines in its flickering light. Hidden secrets emerge. With no small effort, I set to reading. Teresa Mather, born 1938. Boarded 8 years ago. Beloved daughter. Kind, innocent, modest. Demise. In the train. Coward. Don't forget, you are a coward. I'm a coward. There are many fresh, deep punctures around the text. Strong knife stab wounds. Daughter. Memories betray me. I have a daughter. How could I forget? Or rather, I had a daughter. Teresa was born in 1938. She was 8 years old when we boarded the train, the colossus of steel in which she died. It was my fault. I had the power to intervene. For that, I judged myself a coward. Oh, buddy. All right, well, we've got our dates. Let's crack the case. Wife plus daughter. Whatever happened really did a number. Could the birth years of the daughter and the wife be the solution to this riddle? I enter the numbers 1917 and 1938. The lock clicks with satisfaction. A musty, leathery smell wafts from inside. The case is about to reveal its secrets. It contains medical supplies, various reports, and a few other documents. A faded photograph, part of some kind of legal document, stands out from the rest. The face in it looks strikingly familiar. Identity documents. Now I know who I am. You learn about yourself. Apothecary. Samuel Mather. My own name is foreign to me, yet it is bound to me like a parasitic larva. By profession, I am an apothecary. Expert knowledge of chemical compounds and their effect on living organisms is my strength. I have sworn to use it as a tool of healing, but I can do harm as easily as I can help. The suitcase is crammed with all sorts of tinctures, medicinal preparations, and powdered ingredients. The mixture of scents wafting from it overwhelms my senses. I'm sure I'll find something useful here, as long as I know what to look for. Just a second. Yeah, we should probably get that. Hello? Who's there? Ah. Hi. I assume you have already had time to read the letter. Everything is clear to you, I believe. The conductor towers over me. But don't worry, dear Mr. Mather. It will all be over soon, he says, relishing the moment. Before I take you away, is there anything you'd like to say? The conductor looks at me as if I were an animal in a cage. He eagerly watches my reactions and seems to take a certain pleasure in it. What's happening? What is all this? Is this what you did to my family, my wife and daughter? Where are they? Your family is dead, the conductor says reservedly. In your memories, however, they still linger. Tell me, you didn't break the rules, Mr. Mather, did you? He sighs. But that doesn't matter anymore. Memories will also pass with you, and with them what little remains of your loved ones. There will be no more reason to mourn. Let's get on our way. The conductor reaches out his skinny hand to me. Just before his fingers touch me, the train rumbles. Far in front, the steam locomotive lets out a terrifying roar. The conductor loses his balance as the train suddenly picks up speed. He grabs the doorframe to keep from falling. That hideous mass of tentacles behind the window is breaking apart. As the car breaks free from it, the conductor straightens up. Before he slams the door to my compartment, I catch a look of anger on his face. The sound of his footsteps fades away to the left. The situation is calming down. And momentary reprieve. Seems like things have cleared up a bit outside. Let's get a look. The glass is marred by countless scratches, all on the outside. Through the yellowed filth, I watch a sky I don't recognize. An alien sky that chills me to the bone. Alien sky. Every second I spend looking at the alien sky burns me inside. This is not our world anymore. The unnatural hue of the new sun looking down on the gnawed skeletons of human cities makes me dizzy. Oh, lighten up. An unnatural light dyes the dead world in crimson. The color of blood spills into the car, on the walls, on the luggage, on me. I feel disgraced by it. The door is still locked. However, an announcement from the loudspeaker catches my attention. Once again, a voice echoes through the compartment.
The immediate danger has passed. Praise the Supreme Engineer. The previous restrictions remain in effect, but you may leave your seats. Further instructions will be provided.
Just then, something clicks in the door. Oh, good. Yeah, not really looking much better out here. The door is locked. From the other side comes a clicking sound, the origin of which is unclear to me. There's no possible way I can open this door. Better to give up vain efforts. Wow, okay, doesn't get much more blunt than that. The paper carries binding rules for passengers. The Supreme Engineer, propelling this noble machine forward with his iron will, establishes the following boarding rules. The train's crew, forever loyal to the sovereign leader, swears to enforce this order by any means necessary, for this is the way to redemption. There are dozens of rules in the same spirit, restricting the free movement, free rations, property, and other freedoms of passengers. All for the greater good. The greater good. The rules end with a list of possible punishments, under which stands the confident signature of the Supreme Engineer. Restrictive regime. Strict rules gnaw away at the last remnants of freedom from the bones of passengers. They regulate food rations, duties, and freedoms. The word of the Supreme Engineer is law. The main points are as follows. Prohibition of free movement outside the assigned area. Prohibition of endangering one's own or others' lives unless ordered by the crew. No recording of events on the train or events that took place before. The train crew, conductors, are responsible for enforcing the rules. No price is too high. Illuminating. The lantern hanging next to it illuminates the rules well enough. I can read them without any trouble. Oh, okay. Well, I was more kind of just like fishing for your thoughts on the matter, not asking you to reread them. Like I said, sometimes it's a bit more literal than others. Still a very interesting mechanic, though. Seemingly abandoned luggage. Some are empty, but most are full of personal belongings. They have become memorials. It's hard to guess what fate awaited the owner of this particular briefcase. There is no need. Even in the weak light, it is obvious that I would not find anything interesting here. Sir? Looking entirely normal there, I say. Countless bottles of various spirits cover the tabletop. Some of the labels are familiar to me, others I'm seeing for the first time. All of the bottles have one thing in common. They are completely empty. There is not even the faintest hint of the bitter alcohol scent one might expect. Why their owner put them on display here is a mystery to me. Alcohol bottles. Mute figures made of glass, empty and without purpose. Yet here they are displayed in front of one of the passengers. Is this a sentiment, a string pulling the mind back to times long gone? A materialized remembrance can take many forms. Hi. A sad man with bloodshot eyes sits at the table. Young sir, the man's gaze is unexpectedly firm. You haven't spoken to me during our entire journey. Now you won't even introduce yourself and demand something from me? You will have to forgive me, but that being said, I refuse to be of any use to you. Right, of course, sorry, where are my manners? I guess I've been forgetting a lot of things lately. Samuel Mathers. Apothecary. The man looks at me sternly again, but eventually his features give way. My pleasure, Samuel. Offering me his hand to shake. My name is Garrett Wilcott. The profession of an apothecary is a very noble one, widely respected. I regret that the same cannot be said of my profession. I'm a judge. Or at least I used to be before I got on this train. Judge. Crime and punishment wage an eternal battle against each other. Those who commit evil stand against those who punish evil. And how else to punish than with evil itself? Becoming an instrument of justice robs a man of part of his humanity. It brings him closer to the evil he wants to fight. And no amount of ironed robes and elaborate ethics will save him. And so Garrett sacrificed himself for the sake of justice. We can only hope that his motivation was an altruistic need to protect others, rather than his own pleasure in punishment. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Garrett. I apologize if I've been standoffish. You're, a judge, you said. In my profession, more than anywhere else, it applies that what is good for one can be evil for another. But I'm still only human. It's impossible for me to make universally correct decisions. If it still mattered in any way, I'd like the sum of my decisions to have a positive effect. Yeah, I think that's all of us. And the bottles? Those help? Garrett raises his eyebrows. I'm not surprised by your question, Samuel. For the first few weeks, maybe months of our journey, the alcohol in those bottles provided me with comfort, a connection to my lost life. But it's been a long time since the last drop dried up. There will never be another one like this, or any other, he says gloomily. Sometimes, however, I can still sense that sweet hint of alcohol, fleeting and elusive. That's why I keep them here. In our situation, there is no longer any reason to keep our petty secrets. I would give anything for the chance to feel that beautiful alcoholic intoxication one last time. Right. It is... yeah, it does seem to be quite a situation we find ourselves in. You know, Samuel, I still sometimes hope to wake up from this nightmare. Then I'll look out at the sky. Garrett turns his head to the window. And I realize it's not a dream. It's really happening. There is nothing waiting for us. There is no one else left. Only us. The crew of the last human train. The last human train.
There is nothing left but this train, a huge steel mass filled with despair and resignation. Is this an arc of hope or a foolish attempt to escape the inevitable? The tracks ahead, like our future, are lost in an endless void. We are the last people, the last passengers. Yeah, a train to outrun the end of days. How does that even work? My knowledge of the matter is modest, but one thing is certain. The world as we knew it is over. And this train, our train, is the last vestige of human civilization. We must not stop or even slow down. Never. Garrett seemed to recite this phrase almost mechanically. I still haven't decided whether the steel behemoth is our salvation or our prison. I'd say a bit of both, but who am I to judge? Honestly, the whole thing feels kind of purgatorial. And the, Supreme Engineer? I understand what you're asking, Samuel, he ponders. You know, people need order, rules, and laws so they don't stray. Restrictions and punishments are certainly unpopular, yet necessary. If you're intelligent, you will comply, hand over control, and spend the rest of your life in calm. As far as I am concerned, I am extremely grateful that I no longer have to bear the burden of choice. I have no ambition to disrupt the order here. Yeah, you do look like a man who's kind of given up. Helps to have something to keep fighting for. A family, perhaps? Family, he muses, is everything to a man. It's a legacy, it's meaning. At least that's how I used to think about it until recently. Are you interested in anything specific? Would you like to tell me something about your family? Or are you asking about mine? Ah, needs more context. Fair enough. Well, why don't you tell me about your own? I noticed you're sitting alone. Did yours not come with you? This is one of the few topics I'm not going to discuss with you. Garrett shudders. He seems to be fighting some sort of internal struggle. Interesting. I understand. I have a family as well, or I had one. A wife and a daughter, you say? I do believe they brought you much happiness. Don't let our current situation tarnish your memories. Hold on to them. One lady here on board told me that memories are the only thing worth living for. Yeah, it does seem kind of vital to keeping myself grounded, as depressing as it might be. All right, Mr. Wilcott, I guess I'll leave you be. Thank you for your time. A few blankets hung on a wire from an improvised wall. It is a sort of shelter, providing the passenger on the other side with an apparent sense of privacy. Hello? Is someone back there? Leave me alone, the man on the other end snaps at me. Voluntary isolation. There are thousands of reasons to go into seclusion, but often just one is enough. It is not at all clear what drove the builder of this improvised shelter to voluntarily isolate himself. But however flimsy this lonely fortress may be, its symbolism is clear, and the other passengers acknowledge it, at least to some extent. Garrett, what can you tell me about our friend here? Doesn't have to be specific, any blanket statements are fine. Garrett glances at the ragged wall behind my back. I know very little about the man out there hiding from the world. But one thing is clear to me. He's weak, a weakling and a coward. Some people are born this way. For others, it is the result of an overprotective mother. Of course, every one of us aboard this train has plenty of reasons to be sad. However, he glares at me. None of us fall into such strong melancholy, do we? I don't know about that, Garrett. I feel like all of us are embracing very unhealthy ways to deal with shared trauma. You and your bottles, our friend here and voluntary isolation, myself and my suppressed memories. Oh, hello there. The ornamental decoration made of cut glass depicts an unusual scene. Despite the pastel colors, the mere sight of it unsettles me. What could be its meaning? I mean, I feel like I can see some pretty obvious inspiration. The light from the other side passes through the glass and draws color patterns on the surrounding environment. The disturbing scene takes on a third dimension. But ultimately, assuming the blue circle on the top right is us, or at least the Earth. Again, fairly obvious inspiration. The shapes formed by the interwoven pieces of glass vaguely remind me of a foreign sky beyond the window. The stained glass window evokes the same feeling of hundreds of eyes, tirelessly trying to seek me out, to find and destroy me. Interesting. Might imply our friend back here is an artist, perhaps, or clergyman. Stained glass could point towards either. Clock stopped. The wall clock is part of the interior. However, it seems it does not show the correct time. Perhaps it does not work at all. Or the hands are guided by some other rule. What do they show? It's 4? Mr. Samuel, the young man stutters. Be careful. The freedom of movement is restricted here. The crew recently closed this door for other passengers. Study the boarding rules thoroughly. They're displayed on the walls. Stay safe, he says, turning away. The door is locked anyway. So he already knows our name. Unlike Mr. Garrett over yonder. Several papers are pinned to the wallpaper and wall lining. As far as I can tell, it is some kind of mathematical calculations and equations, but it is not within my ability to understand them. Every single paper is signed with the name Euler P. Meadow, Combinatorialist. Miskatonic University. Combinatorist. Euler P. Meadow, a name belonging to an obviously brilliant mind. A consciousness capable of peering beyond the curtain of the universe and seeing the grand order and chaos. Combinatorics is the science of ordering, selecting, and enumerating possibilities. It reveals the true magnitude of the potential of an individual and quantifies our destiny. Okay, so like a chaos theoretician, aka Ian Malcolm. This person is in considerable discomfort. Head and hands and tremors are obvious evidence of such. His clothes are soaked with sweat. The acrid smell is almost unbearable. Euler, right? You know my name, so we've met before. Sorry, I don't seem to remember. The young man only acknowledges me after several attempts. Mr. Samuel, he keeps shaking. We've already had the honor. Euler, sir. My name is Euler. Please, he trembles. A man of your profession, help me. The noise here is unbearable. This infernal machine will not let me rest. His eyes glisten. Unbearable noise. The noise never stops. It is a part of all of us. The hum of the steam engine and the clank of the sleepers will be with us for the rest of our lives. The human mind is unusually adaptable, so most passengers have long since become accustomed to the constant roar of the machine. If we didn't, we would end up like that withered young man suffering from tremors in the corner of the carriage. You know what that makes me think of, if anyone's seen it? The Max. Ostensibly a story about a self-styled superhero, but in actuality, a story about traumatized people trying to cope. The roar of this infernal steam engine. I can't take it much longer. It's piercing my mind. I can't sleep, I can't eat. Most of all, I can't think. Can you help me? He looks me in the eyes. I'm starting to regret ever getting on this last train. Yeah, I think that's all of us. But, the train. What exactly can you tell me about it? I don't even remember how I got here. Locomotive, Bavarian, class, I can't remember. The noise of that devilish machine never stops. The rails pound, the walls creak. What a creation I have helped to make. Help me from this noise, please. He gazes beggingly. He would like to say more, but in his condition, he is unable to. Right, which very clearly points out that we need to find a way to help him. Which, as an apothecary, he has accurately pointed out we can probably do. Though he could also bring up the matter of alcohol, but as Garrett stated, there's none of that to be had on the train, at least not that he's aware of. So I think our best bet is to head back to our satchel. See if we can dig something up. Garrett, what can you tell me about the man in the back corner? Yes, Euler and I have occasionally engaged in casual conversation in the past. Those were rare moments when he was feeling well. However, we didn't have much in common. This man is fascinated by both mathematics and railways. He knows both subjects inside and out, and I'm sure he could tell you a lot even about our train. You don't say. And, the noise? He's complaining about noise, but I'm not really hearing anything. How about you? No, Garrett reflects. I can't say I'm particularly bothered by the noise here. I'm very glad for that, because you can't run away from the noise. The ears cannot be closed. Perhaps only a medicine, he continues. A soothing remedy would help. However, here on board, who would have such a thing in their scarce reserves? He gives me a significant look at those words. Right, of course. A not-so-subtle hint, so let's go see what we can dig up. Ow. In addition to the recorded knowledge needed to produce various medicines, the case also contains several potent substances. Amongst the powdered ingredients and dried herbs lies a lone vial of brown liquid. Last remaining dose of laudanum. I should use it wisely. There must be more than one use for it. Laudanum. Tinctures of opium, used to cure many ailments, that is, until they were banned in the early 20th century. And yet, one innocent-looking bottle is found amongst my inventory. Consumption of the substance causes a shift in consciousness, feelings of euphoria and peace. It relieves both physical and mental pain. Interesting. Which, if you really dig into it, could also explain our own forgetfulness as well. What we've seen thus far seems to imply that every passenger on this train is struggling with something. Some sort of trauma. Each with their own individual, unhealthy means of handling it. The judge with his drink, the stranger with their forced isolation. Hard to say with Euler. Just trying to block everything out, I suppose. Which, you know, to a certain extent, I actually kind of get. A lot of bad things happen to people, and sometimes I myself have simply kept my head down and tried to keep moving forward. You know, lose yourself in work. Garrett, I've got some laudanum here. Do you think this would help? Garrett won't even let me start. Please, Samuel, now is not the time. I'm waiting for the crew announcement. Oh. The unpleasant noise is interrupted by a firm and measured tone.
Announcement to the passengers.
Speaks the conductor.
Our providers in the dining car have just finished preparing today's rations. Food will be distributed at the conductor's office service window. Begin approaching it one by one. Respect the order determined by your place in the car. Mr. Mather will approach first. To the Supreme Engineer, our gratitude.
Right. Well, I guess we'll take care of that. Though I had questions about laudanum. Garrett is evidently hungry, and for a moment it seems he will ignore me. But eventually he responds. Garrett glares at me. Laudanum? I am familiar with the effects of the substance. However, I don't understand why you mention it. Do you happen to have some on your person? Can you be more specific, dear Samuel? You know what? No, I don't think I can. Probably not a great idea to tempt him with the laudanum. We only have the one dose. Let's grab our food, then we'll take care of Euler. Ah, Mr. Mather. It is good to see you again. As a form of apology for a recent misunderstanding, I have taken the liberty of personally delivering your rations to your compartment. You will find your plate hidden under one of the seats. I'm sure you understand that I would hate for a passerby to get hold of it. Bon appetit. Okay, I mean, that feels weird, but sure. Hands are resting peacefully in the door opening. The conductor seems at ease. He said that my food is in my compartment under the seat. Why couldn't you just hand it to me? You can go now. The food is in your compartment under the seat. I wish you a good appetite. Uh-huh. All right. Oh, hi. Oh, we can see the isolated stranger behind them. That's interesting. At the very back, in the layers of dust and cobwebs, lies a silver object. A tray with food, as the conductor said. Next to the plate of disgusting mush lies a piece of paper. It's from Supreme Engineer. The letter begins, Dear Mr. Mather, recent events in which you have been involved have caught my personal attention. Please accept the attached insignia as a symbol of my direct oversight of you from this moment onward. Now eat in peace, and as early as possible visit your conductor. He has already been instructed and will explain everything to you. Until then, do not speak to anyone. Do not put this matter on hold. Oh, right before I was about to talk to Euler about the train? Interesting timing. Membership insignia. A symbol of the totalitarian regime that rules the train. It is a badge that the crew proudly wears on their chests, signifying their superiority over other passengers. I was given an insignia by the Supreme Engineer. I should think very carefully before telling anyone about it. That thing on the plate isn't food. The sight of that burbling abomination causes me physical distress, and the pungent smell makes my head spin. However, it is only now that I realize how hungry I really am. My stomach is knotting up. I'm actually considering trying it. I'd really rather not, though I do notice my door's shut. Are they... Is that why you put the food under my bench? Oh, yeah. Okay, so... I'm afraid I have no choice but to eat that thing on the table. Which does really make you wonder exactly what might be in it. But, unfortunately, I don't think we really have any viable course to... avoid it. Perhaps with our apothecarial skills? Oh, no, that just eats it. Alright, fine. Perhaps I'll try to eat at least some dry bread. What have I done? Well, I mean... I can't believe I ate that atrocity. What primal urge must have taken hold of me? Hunger? Madness? Who's to say? But what's done is done. And this meal is done. And thus, we're free to go. Though, before we talk to the conductor, let's go have a chat with Euler. This is just a demo, don't really have to worry about long-term consequences here. Euler, I got some laudanum. Laudanum? The young man's eyes dart around as he begins to recite mechanically. An opium tincture, a narcotic for sedating the body, relieving pain and inducing a feeling of bliss. Why are you mentioning it, though? Do you have any? Please, my head isn't working properly in all this noise. You need to be more specific. Well, I was wondering if perhaps you would like some laudanum. It's only a temporary solution, but also temporary reprieve. What a kind offer. Really. I appreciate it immensely, especially coming from you. However, I don't use addictive substances. The young man suddenly grits his teeth as a new wave of pain overwhelms him. No, you're right. I'm willing to try anything. This is no longer endurable. With those words, he swallows the contents of the offered bottle. The young man's troubled features finally relax. Comfort. Peace. Thank you. Yeah, don't mention it. Euler's arms are relaxed and he looks calm. His tremors have ceased and he seems slightly dazed. His clothes are still soaked with sweat, the acrid smell almost unbearable. So, you're good? I feel such calmness. Warmth spreads through my chest. I can't even feel my own teeth. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the laudanum, Mr. Samuel. Well, you seem like you're still pretty lucid, so perhaps we can have a chat. The noise, it's not bothering you anymore? The noise doesn't bother me anymore. Thank you, Mr. Samuel. I can finally enjoy the ride. The last human train. It's beautiful here. Is it? I mean, beautiful is a relative term, so I guess to each their own, but... how about you? You're a combinatorist? Yes, he recalls. Before the train, I worked at the university, studying probability, quantifying possibilities. I also enjoyed ciphers and cracking passwords. I'm curious what effect your laudanum will have on my reasoning. An interesting experiment, he grins. However, if you are interested in something specific, Mr. Samuel, I may be able to understand my old notes and find what you seek in them. Interesting. Okay, so a possible solution to future puzzles. And perhaps information about the world outside? It's incredible, isn't it? Euler gazes outside. How our world has changed and how quickly. Those things out there must wield terrible power. He looks fascinated. It's as if the end of the world was an enticing mystery for him to solve. Huh. I do wonder what would have happened if we had given the laudanum to Garrett instead, or if he would have even accepted it. We would have missed out on this, but potentially gotten something else. They did tell us it was a scarce resource, so we should be careful how we used it. So, how about this train? The young man's face brightens further as he begins to talk. A Bavarian A2 class locomotive, serial number... He starts reciting the technical specifications. You know, I know a lot about trains, and I actually helped get this one working, he says, lifting his chin. They hired me for that. It was a bit of an odd job, but very fulfilling. Finally, I can enjoy the ride. It's just a shame we can't go any faster. The train is going slower than it should. I don't know why, but something is holding it back. You don't say. I've got a couple of potential theories on that, but I'll sit on them for now. What about how they're running this place? You're okay with it? You don't think it's all a bit much? You're asking for my opinion on the regime? I think it's necessary. Tell you what, he winks at me. I'll let you in on a little secret. Supreme Engineer, that man is, in my opinion, an innovator, a pioneer. Not only did he save us, but he also manages to maintain a fragile harmony here on board. I don't want to brag, but I helped him a little in the past. Of course, we haven't met in person, but I lent a hand to get this train rolling. Oh, did you now? Interesting. So if you helped build this place, then you have one of these too? This symbol, what does it mean? This symbol was chosen by the Supreme Engineer. He has united us under it. A symbol of his protection and order. Omnipresent. I studied it for hours, and during that time I saw many things in it. However, what exactly it is supposed to represent remains a mystery to me. Yeah. That's hard to say. Hourglass. Something looping around the world. Resonating. Too many possibilities. Interesting to see it next to a typewriter, though. I do feel like the grander illustration on most of these cards does generally tend to speak to the exact nature of that particular thought or memory. So, tell me, Euler, you seem to love analyzing things. What do you make of our fellow passengers, like Garrett over there? Do you mean the man across the corridor? Sometimes when I wasn't in pain, he kept me company. He did most of the talking, he reflects. He described vividly how much he would love to have a drink again. Now I understand, after having tried laudanum. But he isn't suffering from physical pain like I was. He is tormented by memories. He avoids being specific, but must have done something which he cannot forgive himself. It must have been a terrible sin. Sins. We all make mistakes and commit sins. However, some sins burden us so heavily that the weight of remorse becomes unbearable. Our conscience becomes an enemy, endlessly tormenting us with our unchangeable past. It is a weakness that others can exploit if they have the right tools. A person can be completely destroyed by their sins or stripped bare and exposed. Garrett's remorse gives him no peace. He must have done something terrible. How many more sinners are still on board? You know, Samuel, I feel like that's going to end up being pretty much all of us. It does seem to be something of a recurring theme. Any idea what those sins might be? Euler looks at me as if he doesn't understand what I'm asking him. I should be more specific. The judge, I mean. What do you think weighs on him so? The judge occasionally mentioned that he was troubled by his conscience, yet he never went into detail. Someone else may know more. Sadly, I can't help you. He did mention talking to a woman somewhere else on the train, so perhaps that would be our best bet. And the bottles, you think that's how he's coping? Mr. Samuel, now I understand why the man across the corridor is so fond of his bottles. Thanks to laudanum, I have experienced the feeling of intoxication that he must miss so much. Unfortunately, I don't have any alcohol with me, nor do I know if there is any left on board. Sure. And what about you? Any regrets? Anything that weighs on you from the world before? What do you mean? Me? I've treated everyone with respect my whole life. I mind my own business and I don't get in anyone's way. I haven't done anything wrong. After all, I even helped put this train into service. The last human train. I helped so many people. Oh, Euler, I don't know about that, bud. I feel like maybe making this train or helping to make it, that could easily be your sin. And what about the man behind the curtain? You know, I'm very perceptive, and amid all the noise the train makes, I heard some sounds coming from under that blanket. That person is miserable. He might be grieving the loss of a loved one, Mr. Samuel. That's what the elderly lady back here on deck was saying. A loss so tragic that it causes one to shut out the world. Another mention of a lady, whom obviously isn't in our current car, so must be the next one back. Which we can't currently access. How about family? What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Euler? Family? What do you mean? Are you trying to tell me something about your family? What are you getting at? He looks confused. Yeah, my family. If we've met before, I'm sure you've met them as well. You had a wife and daughter. Well, he muses. But why are you telling me this? They probably weren't on the train with you, otherwise you wouldn't remember them. Interesting. So you know about how memories on the train work. Which does seem to imply it's more about the whole train and less about the apothecary in particular. How about yourself? Any family to speak of? Strange question. You know, I never really cared about relationships. Math was everything to me. And I don't regret it at all. Uh-huh. I'm sure you don't. All right, Euler. Thanks for your time. Didn't really pull a whole lot from you, but at least we got something new about Garrett. And got a better idea of who Euler is as a person. Which, honestly, seems to be every card in the demo except for this one. Interesting. I wonder what that is. Alright, well, let's go have a quick follow-up chat with Garrett, and then I suppose we'll see the conductor. Garrett, what are your thoughts on sin? Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. As a judge, I can confirm that we are all sinners. If you'd like to confess a sin to me, don't be shy. I'm sure I've heard worse. Sure. I mean, apparently I failed my family. Though I cannot confess to that. How about yourself? You said every man has sinned. Does that include you? Garrett hesitates at first. You know, He doesn't seem very talkative. If you're wondering who did something wrong, I'd focus on the man behind the blanket across the corridor. He diverts the conversation. Suspicious character at first glance. Interesting. Yeah, as Euler stated, I think we'd have to ask someone else about that. About the judge's sins. And I don't think we're going to get anything out of this guy. Given that there are no other cards to unlock for pretty much anything in the first car here. Minus that one mystery slot. Though I'm not really sure how we'd approach that. So, I suppose for now we just push on. Which, sadly, is beyond the scope of the demo. But I feel like this has been a fairly intriguing taste. Obviously a bit on the slower end. You know, it is, like I said earlier, I think, a hybrid between a visual novel and a walking simulator. But I do feel like the novel card mechanic really does help elevate it. It's something I don't think I've seen in any other game, at least not quite in that form. I also find the setting itself intriguing because obviously it dresses itself up as sort of an end of days, 1930s era, Lovecraftian story. But at the same time, there are definite echoes of other franchises like Silent Hill or Lost or other stories where the characters are essentially trapped in sort of a purgatorial realm, forced to deal with the sins of their former life, the sins or traumas or other things that weighed on them before they can fully let go and move on. You know, one thing that really did kind of jump out at me was Euler commenting that it was especially touching for us to offer him laudanum, despite us being an apothecary. Almost seems to imply he knows something that we don't. Perhaps our own coping mechanism? Perhaps as an apothecary we took to treating ourselves? Anyway, a very fascinating title, though obviously individual mileage may vary, and is apt to vary heavily in a game like this one. That said, as always, curious to hear what you folks might think, and of course if you'd like to go try it out yourself, the demo should still be available as of the moment that I'm recording this. So feel free to scope it out if it looks at all interesting to you. And you know, let me know if you might like to see me perhaps revisit this one later down the line. I'd love to hear your thoughts, love to hear if you'd like to see this series potentially continue. You know, once there is more to explore. And who knows? Perhaps I'll see you then. Assuming I don't forget.